Hey guys, welcome to the video. Salt here. Today we're going to be going over the companion, Carrier. So companions were reworked about 2 or 3 months ago now, and that's why we've been going through a lot of the pets in the game, and we're going to continue until we're done with all of them. I think after Carrier we only have a few more Sentinels left, and then we should be about done with all of them. We have the top commenter of the last video, Prophet Megatron, and the first commenter of the last video, Montero U. And we have our recent supporters of Johnny, Eddie, and Lil Vile. Thank you so much for your support. Okay, so Carrier or Carrier Prime. Now, anytime you're building a pet or choosing a pet for a Warframe, you always have to ask, well, what does this pet do? Does he serve a niche for my specific build that I'm doing? And so for Carrier, what is his niche? Well, he actually has 2 niches. So his first one, and kind of what everyone knows him for, is that he gives you more ammo. He gives you more ammo, and he gives you an ammo mutation effect, which means that it switches ammo on the ground into the type of ammo that you need for the weapon that you actually have equipped at the time. So that is the purpose for Carrier Prime. That combos very well for gun frames who like to use like big, heavy, slow weapons that usually have really bad ammo pools, like the Brahma, the Proboscis Cernos, things like that. Now, the second thing that the Carrier does, the second kind of niche that he serves, is for kind of like a speed-running farming type of a build. And it's because he has a preset mod that breaks crates in a certain radius around him. And so that is just very good for kind of like a speed-running farming build. Okay, let's go into Carrier Prime here. What I want to do first is I want to go over the 2 specific Carrier mods, Looter and Ammo Case. Now, if you notice, well, first we have 2 different builds today. We have the Assault Mode build, and then we have the No Assault Mode build. If you notice, the Assault Mode build only uses Ammo Case and does not use Looter. And that's for a very important reason. And I'll go over Looter first, and I'll explain why you cannot use it on the Assault Mode build. So Looter, this is the one where it emits a pulse to break open loot crates within 22 meters. So this is a crate breaker, really nice for farming. It won't break special crates for some reason. I don't know why. There's like a few explanations that, or possible explanations that are like given in a few forums, but it just won't break those like special crates that sometimes have like the boosters and stuff in it, but it'll break the other crates so you could like farm, nanospores and all other kinds of things. Okay, so this pulses every second, which is extremely quick. Like at first I was like, oh, maybe I can mix Looter with Manifold Bond. And then when I did research, I was like, oh, this pulses literally every second. You don't need to mix it with Manifold Bond. So every second, but here's kind of the kicker. It's very sensitive to anything else that your pet is doing. If your pet is doing anything else other than existing, he will stop doing those pulses. So that means that if he is shooting with Assault Mode, he won't be pulsing. If he's doing any other kind of precepts that have any kind of cooldowns or something, he won't be pulsing. Now, Guardian's not terrible. Guardian only has like a 30-second cooldown, and it just like, it does one thing very briefly, and then that's it. So like this is not a terrible combo with Looter, but you wouldn't want to combo Looter with Assault Mode. You wouldn't want to combo Looter with any other kind of cooldown effect that happens like somewhat often. Just because it's very sensitive to that. You pretty much only want to be running like Looter with just some passive buffs, really. All right. Ammo Case is the one that does make it on this build here. Increase ammo capacity by 25%. And it converts ammo pickups into ammo for equipped weapons after 2 seconds. And this does stack with the other mutation mods. The mutation time is always the same, but it'll give you more ammo back, like if you stack it with the other mutation mods. So Ammo Case makes it on the build here. All right, and let's go over the mods for this Assault Mode build. Sorry, the Assault Mode build here first. So we're going to start with 2 survivability mods. There are 2 different ways you can do this, but I'll explain this one first. So we're going to go calculated redirection for shield capacity and accelerated deflection for quicker shield recharge. That way we can shield gate quicker. So with this setup, we have a 2.4 second shield gate, and then our shields recharge a lot quicker. However, you're going to notice a few things on Carrier Prime. And remember, this is Carrier Prime, so this is the guy that has even more stats. So even with a Carrier Prime, with Calculated Redirection, you notice our shields don't hit over 1200. That's important for one of the bond mods that sometimes makes it onto Sentinel builds called Reinforced Bond. To activate Reinforced Bond, you need 1200 shields or more. And so Carrier Prime is not a good candidate for using Reinforced Bond. All right. The other thing you might notice, especially if let me take off Calculated Redirection, you'll notice it here. So base values, the Carrier Prime actually has higher health, like a lot higher health, 650 over the 300 shields. So the other way to build out Carrier Prime is actually with Vitality and Armor. So you don't use this either, and you just go Enhance Vitality. Or is it Enhanced Vitality, or is it like Calculated Vitality? Let me see. No, it's Enhanced Vitality. Yeah, Enhanced Vitality, and this brings you up to 2,275 health. And then you go with the Armor here, Metal Fiber. I don't think I have enough capacity to fit this. Now, with Metal Fiber, this is the base armor values for Sentinels is really bad. And so this only gets your armor to a 63.6 damage reduction. Now, he does have enough health that, like an early Steel Path, that health pool probably will tank a couple of hits. But anything scaled like higher than early Steel Path, you're probably going to want to like lean a little bit more into the shield gating one. So both setups are fine, right? Like, you know, Vitality and Metal Fiber, or Calculated Redirection and then the Deflection. But I think Calculated Redirection and Deflection will scale up better. Vitality and Fiber might actually start off better in low Steel Path, but once enemies are doing a good amount of damage, you're going to get way less value, because 63% is not really enough to mitigate damage. You really want like closer to 90%. So let's go ahead and put back on our shield stuff there, but just, you know, consider that you could do Vitality and Armor, especially if you don't do like crazy endurance runs. If you're just doing like, you know, 10-15 minute runs, the Vitality and Armor might actually get you more mileage than the shield stuff setup here. Okay. Next mod here, we have Synth Deconstruct. Enemies injured by the companions have 25% chance to drop a health orb when killed. This combos incredibly well with the Warframe mod Equilibrium. It also is useful if you just need some extra health. Now, if neither of those things are useful to you, you don't need to use Synth Deconstruct, and you can consider this a flex slot, and you can put something else here. The next mod we're going to go over is Guardian. Boosts owner's shield by 100% when it runs out. So this is very powerful. It just completely restores your shields. However, not every Warframe is going to need this. Not every Warframe is going to, you know, need your Sentinel saving your butt. And so, you know, if you feel like your survivability is like kind of on point already and you don't need extra, you can also consider Guardian a flex slot as well. Okay, ammo case we already went over. And now we have Contagious Bond. When your companion kills an enemy afflicted with a status effect, 50% of the status effect spreads to other enemies within 9 meters. It's a very good status spreader. It's also a very good killer because it's spreading all kinds of, you know, crazy procs. Then we have Duplex Bond. Companion will clone itself each time you expend 100 energy, up to 3 clones. Clones live 30 seconds and can't use abilities, but their kills have a 50% chance of dropping energy orbs. So the mix between Contagious Bond and Duplex Bond are incredible status spreading and damage dealing. Now, the key for Contagious Bond and Duplex Bond is that they require kills. So you actually need to be using a powerful Sentinel weapon that actually kills at a decent rate. Now, if you want the best killer, it's most likely going to be the Vergless Prime. The Vergless Prime is, I haven't done like the side-by-side comparisons yet to all the Sentinel weapons. I want to do that eventually, probably next week maybe. But I'm going to assume that the Vergless Prime is still going to be king. So for this assault mode build, the Vergless Prime will be your best weapon. There are other Sentinel weapons that are okay at killing. They're not as good as the Vergless Prime, but they're okay at killing. And so they could be okay contenders with the Contagious Bond, Duplex Bond. Just remember that they actually have to kill things. You know, you can't be using like a garbage weapon that just produces statuses. It has to actually kill. Okay. Next, we have Primed Regen. Sentinel recovery time reduced by 35 seconds and revives with 10 seconds of invulnerability. So normally the Sentinel recovery is 60 seconds. This reduces it to 25 seconds, and it gets up with 10 seconds of invuln. So this is really powerful, especially if you're going to be doing like endurance runs. Because on endurance runs, calculated redirection and accelerated deflection are instead of actually being survivability mods, they're kind of like stalling mods. They stall for a decent amount of time until he eventually goes down, and then primed regen makes it where he gets back up like super quick. And then they stall again, and that's kind of how it works. So on endurance runs, you definitely want to be running primed regen. Okay, next we have assault mode. You need assault mode for this build because without assault mode, your pet will not attack. And then we're going to be using vacuum. Vacuum scoops your loot up for you. So that is the build for the assault mode. I want to go over one other mod that could make it on this build. And if you've watched the other Sentinel builds, you probably know what it is already. And my whole spiel I'm going to go over. So Tenacious Bond. Tenacious Bond is very powerful. This can give your Warframe weapons 1.2 times crit damage multiplier. So it's a mod on your pet that increases your Warframe weapons, which is crazy. That's incredibly powerful. However, to activate Tenacious Bond, your pet's weapon needs to have a critical chance of over 50%. All right. Well, you know how we were describing the Vergless Prime and saying that, oh, it's the best weapon, it kills really quickly. The Vergless Prime has one negative about it, and that is that it cannot get over a 50% critical chance without a Riven. So you have to use the normal critical mod Point Strike and a Riven with crit chance on the Vergless, and then Tenacious Bond will work. And you can consider this in one of the flex slots here. I always do my builds just assuming people don't have Riven Zone, and that's why I don't have it on my my build. Now, some other Sentinel weapons can get to 50% or more critical chance easier. They just don't kill as quick as the Vergless does. And so you do have to consider, well, if you're going to use one of those weaker weapons to get Tenacious Bond proc, maybe you should just use the no assault mode build and not use these two mods. But that's really up to you. There are some weapons that are not too far off from being as strong as the Vergless and maybe can achieve over 50% critical, but you just have to kind of test them out there. All right, so that is the assault mode build. Again, this is focused on assault mode, and it's focused on having a Sentinel weapon that actually kills at a good rate. Okay, let's go over the no assault mode build. Okay, if you notice, we've kept calculated redirection and accelerated deflection on. Same thing, though, you could also consider enhanced vitality and armor. We've kept Guardian and Ammo Case on. We've kept Vacuum and Primed Regen on. And then we've taken off the two bond mods that required killing, which was Contagious Bond and Duplex Bond. We've taken off Synth Deconstruct because that requires your pet to do damage, which we're not going to be doing without Assault Mode. And of course, we've taken off Assault Mode. Now, in these two slots, we've actually put Tenacious Bond and Manifold Bond. So you know how we were just saying that Tenacious Bond needs a weapon that has over a 50% critical chance to activate? Well, on a build that doesn't have assault mode, you can use one of just like the garbage Sentinel weapons that easily get over 50% crit chance. So I'm just going to go out of here real quick, and I'll show you like the Volklock, just for an example, but there's a few other weapons too. But I'll just look at the Volklock here. It's a horrible weapon, but the only thing that matters is that you put on one critical chance mod with Point Strike. It gets over a 50% critical chance, and bam, your Tenacious Bond on your pet is now completely active. So let's go back to the pet here. So Tenacious Bond works very easily on the no assault mode build. We're going to use Manifold Bond. This is the one where preset mods apply status effects from companion weapons. We don't really care too much about that effect. What we care about is the second effect. Killing enemies with 3 or more unique status effects reduces companion ability cooldowns by 3 seconds. So we get quicker preset mods, or anything that has a cooldown, because I'll go through one of the options, and one of the options is actually not a preset mod, but it still affects it. So Manifold Bond could affect things like Guardian. So Guardian normally has a 30-second cooldown, but Manifold Bond, depending on how quick you're blasting, I mean, you can get it to a 15-second or even a less cooldown than that. And you don't necessarily have to build your weapons to be crazy status weapons to consistently proc Manifold Bond. So on testing, I was testing with a Grokata that was just built out for viral. That's it. And I was consistently proccing Manifold Bond, and it's because most weapons in the game are going to have like secondary stats, right? Like I have viral, but the Grokata also has regular IPS, impact, puncture, slash. And so when you're shooting something, it's just naturally going to get some other statuses on it too. And so a lot of times you are killing things with 3 or more statuses, even though you didn't like intend to make this crazy status build to do it. So Manifold Bond is not horrible to activate like without even trying. Okay, so we put those 2 on. And so we have 2 mod slots to play with here. I'm going to go over what I think is probably one of the stronger mods in one of these free slots. And it's a fun one, actually. It's a really fun mod that we don't see a lot of. Spare parts. So they actually changed the way spare parts works too, which is kind of cool. Companion marks a target every 15 seconds for 15 seconds, and the target becomes 200% more likely to drop an item when killed. What does 200% more likely mean? That means he drops 2 items, basically. And spare parts, so it's not a preset mod, it's a dash polarity, but this does become reduced in cooldown with Manifold Bond. And so if you use spare parts, and you're blazing away with your Manifold Bond here, instead of every 15 seconds, he could be marking something, you know, maybe every 12 or 9 or 6 seconds, depending on how quick you're killing things. So I'm going to explain why I think spare parts is a really good use on carrier specifically. So usually the Warframe that you're picking to combo with carrier is using a weapon that just needs ammo. That's why you're using carrier, because you want more pickups. You want more ammo pickups. Well, spare parts, they become more likely to drop items, and those items can be anything on their loot table, which includes like ammo. So this could also be dropping more ammo, as well as a bunch of other things too, right? Spare parts is still nice for everything. But if you really needed ammo, I mean, this could technically also drop ammo. So I think for carrier, spare parts is actually kind of top tier for the no assault mode build. Again, in the flex slots, you could probably fit it on the assault mode build too. You would just have to pick one of the flex slots for it to go over. But in the no assault mode build, where you have two free slots to kind of play with, yeah, easily spare parts is super fun to put here. All right, let me go over another one that I think is top tier on the no assault mode build. And that is actually right here, Primed Animal Instincts. So Primed Animal Instincts is loot radar and enemy radar. It depends. I really like Animal Instinct. I usually have it on a lot of my builds. But a lot of people don't like Primed Animal Instincts. They just kind of consider it a wasted mod slot. But I'll make a case for it on Carrier. So on Carrier, again, you are using Carrier because you need more pickups. You need more ammo pickups. Well, Primed Animal Instinct is going to tell you where your loot pickups are. Like, you're actually going to see them on the map, like, farther away. And so I think Primed Animal Instinct is also a pretty good choice in one of these 2 slots. Okay, let's go over another option. And that would be Shield Charger. Shield Charger increases Warframe max shields and shield regeneration by 60% for 10 seconds. It's pretty good. Get some extra shields, some extra shield regen, and it combos with Manifold Bond. So Manifold Bond not only will be reducing Guardian, but it will be reducing the 10 seconds cooldown of this to be lower. So this could be a really good option too. Okay, and weaker ones. These are 2 weak options I'm going to go over, but if you didn't have the other mods, you could consider these as well. Is Mediray. This just gives you some health. This is also on a cooldown, so it combos with Manifold Bond. It's a little bit of a weaker option, though. And then another kind of weaker option is to put another survivability mod on top of your other survivability mods. So you would go with Enhanced Vitality as an extra to your shield gating stuff here. Kind of a weaker option because you kind of already like have your stuff set here, and like Vitality by itself without armor is kind of meh. Like 2,200 and something health is only going to be like 2 shots without armor, maybe even 1 shot later on in Steel Path. So, yeah, it's questionable. It's one of the weaker options, but it's an option if you didn't have the other mods. Okay, and then finally, the last option is going to be Looter, the other carrier-specific mod. So Looter you can use on the no assault mode build. The reason I left this for last is because this is really going to be for a speed running type of build. So normally if you're doing like Steel Path Endurance, even the more mobile Steel Path Endurances like Cascade where you have to like go to different places, you're still like kind of traveling back and forth between the same tile sets. And so you're not going to get a lot of value out of Looter because like it's going to break the crates once and then you might be there for an hour or 2 hours and they're never going to be broken again after that. So Looter really shines on speed runs. Like maybe you're just going to do Hepit over and over again because you want like Argon Crystallers or something. So like that's where Looter shines. So this is for very specific builds because of that. Not every build is going to benefit off of Looter. Just keep in mind, Looter does not play well with other mods that make your pet do other stuff. So you do not want to mix it with Assault mode, and you don't want to mix it with anything else that is going to make your pet do something. I think mixing it with Guardian isn't too bad because Guardian doesn't proc very often, and when it does proc, it's because it's saving your butt. So like there's a good reason why it's procking. So like I don't think it's a horrible combo with Guardian, but the other precepts you do have to be careful mixing with Looter because Looter just won't work while they're doing their stuff. So yeah, Looter's another good option in these 2 slots. Just this is more specifically for a speedrunning farming build. Alrighty. And yeah, I think that's about it. That's the assault mode, the no assault mode there. I think they're both decent. You have like good use cases to use both of them there. I don't think this is going to require any gameplay to show this off. Ammo case just gives you extra ammo. I don't need gameplay to show that off. And breaking crates, I mean, it just breaks crates in a 22-meter radius. So yeah, I think that's Carrier done with. So if you guys liked the video, consider giving it a like. If you haven't subbed yet, consider subbing or tell me what I can do to earn your sub. And I hope you guys have an amazing day. All right, bye.